Welcome to Emotional Labor. This is a show where we do the discourse so you don't have to. I'm joined today by the amazing GABBI BOLT.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It's Pride Month.
Yes.
What's going on with white bisexuals?
I can't really speak on behalf of white bisexuals as, at the moment, an ally to many white bisexuals. What's going on for a lot of them, and also myself, which is really quite funny, is Chapel Roan.
Right.
It's Chapel Roan Central. I'm obsessed. I've found myself listening to it over and over, and I said this to a friend recently, and they were like, oh my God, of course, because bisexual, like, it makes sense. And I went, oh, I'm not bisexual. But then I was like, am I bisexual? Chapel Roan has me questioning the sign of great pop music. So now I'm kind of spiraling a little bit, but it's also great. It's a great time spiraling. Great soundtrack to spiral too. Chapel Roan's happening. I'm pretty sure soon we'll see some banks step in and be like, look at us, we're progressive. And then they'll fuck off for a bit. This year, your underpaid rent charges will come in a rainbow envelope. Isn't that fun? I will check in with my bisexual white friends.
Okay, not the bisexual brown and black friends, just the white ones.
No, obviously not.
Okay.
No, I don't want to overstep, you know.
Oh, you don't want to overstep? Okay, so you just don't want to know.
Oh, no, it's not that I don't want to know. I'm just terrified of speaking over marginalized voices. I would never want to do that, obviously.
So to avoid that, you just don't speak to any marginalized voices?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just cut out the middleman.
Cut
I
them
love
out.
that you've got the sound bite. That's it.
There we go. Gonna cut it up, put it at the front, everything else will cut out. Since you started performing, age 14, you raised money for your local women's refuge with your song
I did.
Girl Time. You worked
Oh my God, I
directly
did.
with survivors on that. And earlier this
you.
month, you also helped to raise money for a Palestinian family trying to flee the ongoing genocide. Out of the following celebrities who are currently silent on Palestine, who do you think genuinely believes themselves to make apolitical art?
Ooh.
Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, and Zendaya.
It's hard because I'm kind of like, I don't want to say Zendaya but I feel
But
like
she was in
of-
Dune. She hasn't said anything.
It is weird.
You can't get in a hijab and it's not
Yeah, that is
like
weird.
what's going on.
Because I was going to say Ariana Grande, but I'm like, no, but Ariana would believe herself to be political. Taylor does think she's political, yeah, because of the whole girl rage thing. That was... Is there actually a real answer to this question, or is it more like based on vibes?
It's based on vibes, but there is an objectively correct answer, yeah.
Because now the people pleaser in me wants to get this right. But I don't want to say Zendaya, but I feel like it... Oh, but then I'm picking on the one person of color in this list.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, see, I'm never beating the racial allegations here. I feel like maybe I'm gonna go for Ariana, even though I do think she would believe herself to be a political figure.
I'll agree with you, because Taylor Swift, I think, believes she's Jesus. That's a whole other level.
Yeah, well, definitely with the whole Miss Americana stuff as well, with like how she felt about the conservative vote at that time, and if you've got to say something, you've got to say something. Love that one. So I think she thinks she is a bit of a political figure. I'm gonna lock in Ariana. I feel like Ariana's remained pretty on this.
Let me check that in my privilegeometer. That's correct. Good job. Yeah.
Oh, thank God. My heart was actually racing. I was like, if I say Zendaya and it's not Zendaya, I'll be
come down on you
murdered.
like a ton of bricks. Coming from a town with 12 pubs, what's the most salacious and or destructive gossip you heard growing up?
Sorry to detract immediately. There's actually 20 pubs.
Did
I
more
know,
open
crazy.
or was the original intel incorrect?
I don't really know. I think I was basing the data on like the last time I lived there. Now, since more have probably closed, I think I was just ignoring some just because I didn't really go there. But most salacious rumor, there was a nightclub. There was one nightclub. Out of all those pubs, one of them was a club. One time, an artist called Timbermatic was there, and it was all the rage that Timbermatic was in Bathurst. I think we also had Sean Kingston one time.
That's a huge get. Beautiful girls.
huge
They
guest,
make me want to
you
kill
know,
myself.
A poet. He was in Bathurst doing a show so random. But other than that, no real rumors. I feel like if you heard something, it was either fact or nothing, really.
I guess it's hard to spread destructive information about someone's life if you already know everything.
Yeah, it's one of those towns where like you don't, I guess gossip happens, but by the time it gets to you, you have no idea how many people it's already gone. It was quick. The rumor will run quickly to the point where you were like, where there's smoke, there's fire most of the time.
You once referred to Edinburgh as like a fantasy storybook. I used to live there and I used to come back to my flat, which was on, doesn't matter if I'm doxing myself because I don't live there no more, on Nicholson Street.
Oh, wow.
This guy used to regularly piss on my door because it's like the main street, to be completely fair. The landlord evicted us for the fringe because he's a dickhead. But yeah, this guy would just like piss on the door and I just walk up to him and be like, sorry, do you mind if I go in? And he'd be like, oh yeah, sorry, just give me a sec. It was very like amicable.
In some ways, that's a fairy tale. It's quite friendly. I feel like in Australia, if someone was pissing on your door and you asked them to stop, or or to at least let you in, they'd probably ignore you or get more aggressive. The piss. I don't know.
The magic of Edinburgh. It makes even pissing
Yeah.
in public
It
magical.
kind of, yeah, everything felt beautiful. I really felt like if I got hit by a car there, at least I got hit by a car there.
With a
I
Scottish
was like,
license
oh,
plate.
yeah, you fall quite beautifully. Cobblestone paths.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge just like cascading in slow motion.
Yeah, I can see it. Maybe I'll schedule it in.
What other world leaders do you plan to duet with? Because you got Kevin Rudd down. Are we thinking Charles, Biden, Macron, Pol Pot? Who's next?
Definitely not Biden. Definitely don't think any American world leaders. I don't think I can bring myself to do it. In fact, the fact that I started out, I feel like that was my most naive, where I don't know why there wasn't a second part of me that was like, maybe trying to engage with politics on a human level is not going to work out. If there was anybody, could it be anyone in time?
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I think it'd be funny to get Thatcher.
Okay, as long as you kill her at the end.
Yeah, it's the classic misdirect where you're like, yeah, it's just a fun, silly duet, and then you get her to say something really stupid like jizz or something, and then maybe the sheer shock of having to say a word like that would be enough.
But they call her the Iron Lady, you know, she's not scared of blue humour, and she's definitely not scared of poor people and Scottish people. I mean, unless it's in a way where homophobia is like because you're scared of gay people, but then you also want to kill them, then maybe she is scared of people and Scottish people.
Yeah, she's scared in the same way a war criminal is scared.
Which Andrew Garfield accent is your favourite?
You know what? Now we're getting to the real questions. My favourite Andrew Garfield accent is actually the god-awful American accent that he has in the episode of Doctor Who. The one where there's...
The Pigman. The Pigman. The bollock head guy. Iconic episode.
And he's from like Whoville or Hooverville. It's something like this, like in Central Park. And he has the worst. It's like before he really nailed the American accent for film, before The Social Network, he just has this god-awful accent. And it's so endearing because I'm terrible at accents. It says to me that I'm like, there's hope. He's such a sweetie.
Didn't you work with a dialect coach on the Ratatouille musical?
Not
or just
for
in general?
Ratatouille. Didn't have the budget for that for Ratatouille, but in a musical I was just in called Murder for Two, where I play a detective. I mean, ACAB is for me in that role. I had a dialect coach for that, and I swear you coach for 3 weeks, and then you swear you're nailing it, and you do a run of the show, and the dialect coach like stays to give notes every now and again. When she came, she's like, I'm gonna send you some notes in the morning, and in the morning it was like, here's every single time you slipped into your Australian accent. Like, it cannot be, because it's such an extra level of effort. And then you listen to yourself back and you're like, oh my God, I'm so Aussie. And in the case of American, it's literally flipped. Australian to English, it's slightly easier for obvious reasons. We all started out as the grosser, worse version, well, the white people in Australia.
Well, it's just the prisoners. Like, it's just...
Yeah, we're the criminals. We can just slip right back in if we need to. But with American, you're literally flipping. Every vowel that's instinctive to you is now being put in a completely different part of your mouth. I talk about it all the time because I'm just like, it's actually so hard. And then all my actor friends are like, okay, but we all do it. And I go, okay, sorry, I didn't go to acting school. We can't all be amazing. Some of us have to be mediocre. I volunteer.
Was that one Spider-Man or woman? We don't know. For sure. He just goes in and out of Boston and New York.
They could never make me hate him.
The best Peter Parker.
Controversial, but true.
You helped raise $2 million for the Ratatouille musical starring Wayne Brady, and you've gone from filming yourself, like co-directing an orchestra. So I wanted to ask you, what's the benefit of being taken seriously?
Well, I'll tell you when I find out. You know what I really liked about Ratatouille is that it was this incredibly silly thing being taken to an incredibly professional level. I was like, well, okay. At the time, I just said yes because it was fun. We had nothing else to do. And I look back now and I'm like, it is crazy that on a technical level, I technically have written something for Broadway. Because at the time, I was just like, what a silly, goofy thing. I don't think I understood actually the levity at which I was suddenly included in a world that I never saw myself included in. It was crazy. It was nice, I guess.
Yeah, I'm picking up some hints of perhaps alienation in that process.
It was really odd, only because I was the only Australian, potentially the only non-American, when all the like meetings, even when it aired at 7:30 p.m. American time. I'm watching it at like 10:30 a.m. in my living room.
Cereal, yeah.
Yeah, and I like invited my mum over and it felt really funny because mum's like, well, I do have to work. And I was like, oh, that is fair. But she's like, no, but I'll get it off. And I was like, okay, great. It was like,
sweet.
It was like the 2nd of January, so it was sort of like kind of could. And my friend came over and we all watched it in my living room, but then it just stopped. And then I had the rest of the day to be like, well, that just happened. I was just put on a worldwide platform and now I just got to go to the shops. And not many people in my life, in my real life in Australia really knew about it. Like even like Australian media or whatever, they were just kind of like, sorry, what's happening? What is this? And I was like, it's a show that we've made about the 2007 Pixar film Ratatouille. Oh, and like Disney have given you permission? Well, not sort of like having to explain it over and over again was really funny. It's like, I'm not the person that should be explaining this. I'm simply a cog. It was very funny.
Traditional media is, to put it kindly, 5 years behind the rest of the internet. They just don't get it. They're like, that's two things I have to really think about.
And it also left me in a weird position too, because I'm like, I'm not like a child. And I think often the way that they sort of preferred to frame that, these kids are writing music. Like, isn't it cool? The kids are all right. And I'm like, oh, I'm 25.
I thought it was kind of patronizing, but maybe you didn't feel that way. Can these Australian comedians make people laugh in real life, not just online? And I'm like, mate, what do you think this is?
If I had $1 for the amount of times my early stuff was portrayed in the media as she made it online, which also is so funny because I didn't. I said to a reporter once, when the world shut down all live performance, where do we reckon all of those performers went? Because in my head, it makes natural sense that people born to need validation from an audience would turn somewhere where they could get an audience to continue feeling like they're doing their job. And I've met so many, particularly comedians, that started a very similar way to me, making online short form media and switching it into a live space.
You've written your way through Australian comedy TV, Chaser, Mad as Hell, Question Everything, Win the Week, The Weekly, and you also wrote a song for Dan Povenmire's next show.
Oh yeah, it's already out. Yes, I wrote a song with Dan for Hamster and Gretel. It's very cute.
I like argued with him on TikTok for like 2 stitches. I was like, Baljeet's racist. He was like, I'm sorry you feel that way. And then there was like an open dialogue and it was fine. It was a really funny 10 minutes in 2020. It was very easy to do that sort of shit.
Everything felt real high stakes. I've been in the industry professionally for like 2 years, so anybody who's been in it longer than me, if they see this, they'll be like, she has no idea what she's talking about. But it seems to me that Australia quite often gets ignored. When theatre productions come here, it's always the Australian premiere of a Broadway show. If we want to create theatre, it's really, really hard to get funding, to get momentum. The people who do it say it takes 4 to 10 years to get it off the ground. That's even getting it to another country. Festival systems can be abrasive to artists and to audiences. Being all the way down here on this continent at the bottom of everything, it physically feels that you're just so removed from it. The internet, you'd think, would fix that problem, but it's still that when you're an artist in Australia, you're like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to go overseas then. I'm gonna have to uproot my whole life and try and hope that I'm also successful to a new audience. When you come back, you can be a fucking king.
That's how we feel about James Corden.
I was gonna ask, did it feel like a betrayal when James left?
Gavin and Stacey, which was the show that he was originally in, was long beloved. As soon as he moved to America for the late night gig, we all decided collectively that he was scum, nonce. We've never forgiven him, and we never will.
Yeah. Australia does the opposite thing. We just simply go anywhere else and then come back. Because when you come back, it's like, oh, they're back.
Oh, you made it nice.
You came back. I feel like if it was for TV in America specifically, there would be a bit of like, oh, you Mr. Big Shot kind of thing. I vouch for the UK. For myself, I think I'd be more palatable to the UK than to America. You guys like weird stuff. I mean, I'm not that weird, but I feel like you guys really like alternative forms and formats.
I'm anti the general deification of British comedy as like better, like irony compared to America.
And I also feel like America is so, I don't know why this thumbs down keeps
like America, boo.
Is it this? Maybe I'm upside down and it's registering.
I appreciate you turning your laptop upside down so we can have this call face to face.
Oh, that'd be really funny. Yes.
Classic.
We love that joke. You know what that
I'm sure you've never heard that joke before.
Never ever. It's actually really fresh.
It's fresher.
With an election coming up for you, do you think, because we've got an election next year, that whatever happens in your election is going to have natural runoff to our election? And then do you think it'll be good or bad?
There's going to be a runoff and it's going to be bad. Labour's going to win. They've got the worst platform in terms of like Palestine and trans rights. I'm like campaigning with like independence and that. It's just very dire. I don't have a lot of hope. We have 13 years of the government and we're going to get a new one, but no one's happy about it because it's just that shit. We will see this general weakening of not even the centre left, but just the centre spread to Australia, sadly.
I think it's already here. We had 11 years of the worst and then we got slightly better and everyone was like, everything's going to be great next year. I have no idea what's going to happen. No clue. Oh, I have one more. If I read this the other day, but I was worried that I was reading it to clickbait. I was like, I can't believe this at its face value. But is it true that if re-elected, Rishi Sunak was going to make young people serve in the military?
Yes.
I was like, is there a punishment?
1 year of military service or like 1 year of like volunteering on weekends, which seems like definitely the preferable options.
If you had to do that, what would you choose?
Oh, I'd just kill myself. I don't know. I'm not joining the army.
You'd be like, No, you'd be like, yes, military, so you get access to the gun
Yeah.
that you could then use.
That's like the darkest timeline, is that they introduce national service and they make trans people do it. Like, come on. I
Yeah,
thought I
you've
got
already
out
done
of
enough
that shit.
work. I know I'd be terrible on a front line. Unless I was feeling like it was real dire, then I'd probably volunteer for the front line. Well, I mean, historically, Australian front lines have been pretty bad. I mean, the one that we all talk about is Gallipoli, and that one did not go, oh, look, there's the thumbs up for Gallipoli. Historically, pretty shit front line to be on. If it was going to be that instant, I'd probably be like, yeah, throw me in if I'm ready to go.
Put me at the front. He'll
As
be
long
fine.
as it's quick.
What a
This could go one of
depressing
two
end to
ways.
the interview.
One last question for you. What is the next thing that's going to bring you joy?
I don't know. You really got me with that question because I don't know. I'm having a bit
I'm
of a
with you.
personal crisis. Having a nice pint in the sun.
Having a pint.
Having a
No,
pint
I
in
can
the sun.
respect it.
That's all I have to
Yeah.
look forward to now. I'm a shell.
I feel you on that. God damn. I got a rent increase. I've been dealing
I'm
with
sorry,
Centrelink benefits, and that's been a fucking crisis. Cat nearly died like
Oh,
3
I'm
days
so
ago.
sorry.
She's really old. No, but it's fine. I can't wait to be able to just have a nap.
I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna go do that now.
Yeah, me too. Motor for Two's doing the Adelaide Cabaret Festival soon. But other than that, hire me, I guess. I'm very unemployed.
I played a
Yeah.
terrorist in a play at the Fringe.
Oh no. Were you at least in control of that situation?
Yeah. I was in
Gosh,
control of
this
that
week,
situation.
You never want to be the terrorist in like the school play. Fuck.
Emotional,
What was that, sorry?
emotional labor.
I wish I had less of it.
Emotional labor.
Emotional labor?
Don't bother me again, HTML.
First off, get off my dick, it's not your strength rock.